Greetings, ladies and gentlemen of the internet, Jan Michael here, coming at you with some more Oscar predictions. Only this time, it is the full list. And what an exciting time to bring this to you now, because we got the film festivals right around the corner. The summer blockbuster has been blowing up the box office left and right. The people who have been shouting, "It's the death of cinema," have shut up. So yeah, it's an exciting time for all, I think. Now, before we start getting into my actual predictions, I have a little fun announcement I want to make and how I'm going to be doing the predictions for the next few months. Now, you know me. I like to have fun with these. I always say if you want just a straightforward predictions video, go to anybody else's channel, you're gonna get that. But because I do like to have fun, here's what I'm gonna do. Every single category, the very last pick, I'm gonna be doing a surprise pick. Now, these picks aren't supposed to be taken super seriously. They are more fun in the sense that I would love to see them nominated, or if they've not come out yet, I would like them to blow my mind or blow everyone away and make it to the nomination. Most likely it's not going to happen, but I just want to include them. And I know you're probably thinking, well, Jan, just give the full list and then just make an aside about what you would like to see get in. No. You're missing the point. The point is to include those amongst the picks to see that rarity actually occur. So again, you want a straightforward video, go to anybody else's channel. I'm here to have fun. And with that being said, these are my Oscar predictions for August of 2024. Best Picture. I'm throwing all of my chips, as of the moment, on the Nickel Boys. There's just something about the synopsis, the news I've been hearing that makes me super excited for that film. And I do think it has the potential to go all the way to the top and win Best Picture. So yes, it's at the very top. Obviously that can change, there's still many months away, but it's the one that I am currently most excited for. Of course, there have been rumblings of a lot of other very exciting news. Conclave, I know a lot of the early buzz around it is that it is very, very good. It is going to be a serious contender. So, of course, I am very excited for that one as well. You have other things such as Anora. I mean, Sean Baker has been kind of kept outside the Oscars for the longest time now. So a lot of people do want this to be him finally breaking in. The movie has been seen and it's been liked, so that is very much a possibility. Of course, Sing Sing, which is slowly making its way to the various theaters, and I do mean slowly. As of the time of this filming, it still hasn't hit any of my theaters. I guess I could drive somewhere and see it, but I don't want to do that. I'll wait. It's fine. But yeah, if you are like, where's this movie at? They're campaigning it very, very slowly. I think it's the first time anybody's ever done anything like this, so we'll see if it pays off. So there's that for you. Of course, Dune Part 2's already proven itself. That one's just kind of a done deal, gonna get in. Queer, Luca Guadagnino's having quite a year. Challengers came out earlier. Queer is the one that a lot of people are betting big on, thinking that that's going to be the one that really gets into the Oscars and gets all these nominations. So I'm very excited for it. Couple of things. First and foremost, don't have Blitz here anymore. And the truth of the matter is, I've never been 100% convinced with Blitz. And the closer we get to that film coming out, the more I'm like, I just don't know if this is going to be an Oscar thing. I don't know. There's just a lot of stuff that, now is it really even going to get any acting nominations? That's kind of in question now. And if it doesn't get anything like that, is it going to get any text? Because at first I thought, well, war film, so of course it's going to get a bunch of text. But now I hear that it's probably not going to be that type of film either. So maybe the texts are out of the question. So I don't know. I just see this kind of spiral happening with Blitz. I hope I'm wrong. But for now, spoiler warning, I'm not including it in any of my predictions. But we'll see if that changes by next month. I do still have Joker, though. I know a lot of people are starting to move Joker off their list. Like, they're really starting to lose confidence in it. Especially with the dick move that Joaquin Phoenix just recently did. But, I don't know. I still am looking forward to it. It's looking to do enough differently that has me intrigued. And if it hits it, I think it's definitely going to be getting into various categories. So, I'm holding on to it for now. We got the trailer for A Complete Unknown, which actually looks really cool. Granted, I'm not the biggest fan of that filmmaker, but for now, the trailer looks pretty cool, so of course I'll include it here. Emilia Perez is my international pick for Best Picture. I'm sure it's everybody's pick, so that's not a huge surprise. And then what would I include in my number 10 spot if I could? The answer is Didi. I actually just saw this one, and I freaking liked it a lot. I didn't love it, but I really did like it. It's probably in my top 10 as of right now for the year. And do you guys remember that film, mid-90s by Jonah Hill a couple of years ago? Like, this is what I wanted that film to be. Like, this one connected more with me, even though the time frame of the film is actually a little bit after I graduated high school, but I still connected a lot with it. And the dialogue with it, I'm like, oh yeah, I used to talk with my friends like that when I was really young as well. It was funny. I liked the characters. You do care about that protagonist. Honestly, I thought it was a solid picture all around, and I would really like to see it nominated for Best Picture. It's not going to happen, though. I just don't see where else it could potentially get a nomination. I don't think any of the acting is on par to be a contender at the Oscars. Maybe screenplay, and I suppose you could get in with just a screenplay nomination, but I don't know. It's not in the cards right now. I don't think it's going to happen, but man, I would really like to see it amongst the 10. Now, director at a glance does look very competitive. I mean, I think you can make an argument with just about any of these and some that I've left off the list as of this moment, but I think Denis Villeneuve has the best claim to it. I know that's kind of going back of what I've said previous months and years, I guess, by now, but I think he has a very good narrative. I mean, he's been snubbed a lot before. He has gotten in. There are films that he probably should have already taken the award home for. So I think especially when you compare it to a lot of the other directors, I think he's just the standout. I guess it'll depend if we get any surprises of who else gets in, but I think out of all the ones in contention right now, I do think he has the best narrative, and I think a lot more people are going to want to award him, especially how often he's been at the Oscars and films have been nominated, versus some of the others who maybe it's their first time, if not, it's like maybe their second only. So I think that's the mentality that people are going to go with. But that being said, I do think there are a lot of other good competition here as well. Of course, Sean Baker, as I said, he's been kind of kept out of the Oscars for a while now. A lot of people think this is finally going to be his breakthrough. Some people are even predicting him to win. So who knows? You just don't. Of course, if I have the Nickel Boys at my number 1, I gotta consider the director here as well. Again, just not sure if it would go on to win director, even if it does win picture. And we've seen that split many times recently, so it wouldn't be a complete shock if that happened. Edward Berger, especially with the acclaim that film's already getting before it's even released, I just have to include him. I left out Luca Guadagnino, but I think he would easily be another safe bet. And honestly, I could just go on and on and on. But who would I pick as my number 5 that would just blow our minds? Well, that would be Mohamed Rasulov for The Seed of the Sacred Fig. Now, if you guys don't know what's happening with this director, I highly suggest you go look it up because it's kind of wild. So, I mean, he's Iranian. He's wanted in his country. He had to leave, and now, like, that country was like actually pressuring Cannes to remove his film from the festival just because he's a wanted man in that country for stupid reasons. Again, go look up the full history. I don't want to bore you with everything, but goddamn, just him showing up at Cannes, people were like, is he gonna show up? I mean, his film's here, and then he shows up, and that alone was news, and people were talking about it, and people were including his movie in the Best Picture lineup just because of the impact, and he's just continuing to roll off of it. He's just interviews, going to festivals, showing his film around, so I do think it's gonna be a big talk, especially the closer we get to the awards season. Who knows, maybe this could potentially get into the Best Picture lineup, and it'll continue to grow. So as of right now, I don't think it's happening, but I do think there is potential. So I don't know, keep that in mind, especially if you're looking for a surprise pick. This could be that kind of underdog that you just don't see coming until the very last minute. would it be bold of me to say that I'm not hugely excited for the actress nominations? Not because I think they're going to be bad by any means, but just because when I looked at the full list, while there was some possibility with a few of them, I'll admit, there was nothing really that was like blowing my mind. And the ones that I've included on here just feel like, yeah, that seems right. Like that kind of like unenthusiastic, yeah, that seems right, where everything that you predict just happens and ends up being boring. I don't know. I'm hoping for a surprise. Again, it's super early. We don't know what's going to happen. But as of right now, I'm just not too excited here. I mean, Angelina Jolie, I think that's like everybody's either number one or number two. Everyone's just flat out predicting her. And again, it makes sense, right? Mikey Madison for Anora, if that film ends up being big, which a lot of people are saying it is, then yeah, she just comes along with the package. It just makes sense. Carla Sofia Gascon, that would actually be a really cool nomination for Emilia Perez. I would really like to see that one. Lady Gaga. So here's the interesting one. Some people have, again, knocked her completely off the list, or even moved her to supporting because there have been some discussion that she could go either or. Some people say that no, she's just along for the ride, but she could push to be lead. And I mean, you've had that before. I mean, in the last 2 years, we've had those actresses that, even though they're really supporting, they kind of push towards lead. So I don't see why Lady wouldn't do that as well. And for those who are just completely brushing her off because of things like that Gucci movie, House of Gucci, please keep in mind she's been nominated before. So it's not like the Oscars are not wanting to get her in. I just truly do think it's going to depend on the project and how well that film does. But if it does well, I can see her getting in. I don't know why people are just completely dismissing her all of a sudden. Now, what would I like to see as the surprise number 5? That would be June Squibb for Thelma. Now, if you missed Thelma, please do yourself a favor, go watch it. Because, man, that was probably one of the best surprises of the year. It is funny. I like the characters, though they do get annoying at points. And man, she is fantastic. This wouldn't even be her first nomination. She had previously been nominated for Nebraska, so I don't think it's out of the complete realm of a possibility for her to get in. And I would love to see her in the lineup here. But if she does get in, I think it would be just a lone nomination for the film. And I just don't see that happening. Like, I don't even see the film getting into screenplay, so it really just would be her. And because of that, I can't take it too seriously. I don't even think it's on anybody's radar right now. But again, I want to give her the shout out. Go watch the movie if you haven't, because it is fantastic, and she's excellent in it. So actor I am a little bit more excited for. Though again, there are those picks that I see people predicting or putting in like their top 10 that I'm just not 100% convinced of yet. But I do hope blow me away. Like that's, I think, the best thing that you could do is like maybe kind of seem like it's not going to be amazing, and then you just like, oh my god, that is. So those are the type of performances I always like. Just those surprises. Right now, I think, Coleman Domingo in Sing Sing is everybody's number 1? And if he's not, he's probably your number 2. He's in your top 5 somewhere. Don't you lie to me. So, yeah, just going to place him here for now. Daniel Craig, so many people really want him to win the Oscar. I think he does have somewhat of a narrative, not with the Oscars per se, but he's just been in the industry for so long. He's played so many beloved characters. He's played those characters that even if the critics don't fully appreciate, as a fan of the individual products, you just are like, oh my god, that's amazing. So I don't want to delve too deep into it because I'll go down a rabbit hole that I'll never get out of, but hopefully that broad statement is enough to make you understand what I'm talking about. For my money, I really would like to see Ralph Fiennes finally get back to the Oscars. Conclave, again, just early buzz is amazing, so yeah, I feel he would come along with the package. Even if he doesn't go on to win, I think it would just be awesome for him to finally make that comeback. It's been too long. Now, I know you guys are going to say, what the fuck is Joaquin doing on your list? He's a fucking asshole. He's not going to get in. And yeah, I understand why you guys would say that, and I am agreeing that he is an asshole unless something else comes to light that we're just not aware of yet. But I don't know. Again, a lot of the other picks, I'm just not too confident in. And so I just think by talent alone, let's just go with that, okay? Let's just go with talent alone. I think it just makes sense to include him here, but I agree he probably won't get in as of this time. As of this time, it's not looking very likely. So just take that for what it is. He may not be there next month, or maybe he will be. I don't know. We'll see. There's still lots of time left. Give me a break. So who would I include if I could just do a surprise pick? Well, Jesse Plemons for Kinds of Kindness. Not gonna happen, but I mean, he won the Best Actor at Cannes, so there are some eyes on him. I've seen him being predicted on other channels, so it's not like he's completely outside the possibility. But I do admit that it is harder for anthology films to get any sort of a nomination. I was hoping that Yorgos would be the one to kind of break that trend, but the reviews just haven't been that strong. Though everybody has said he's amazing, like, and especially when you're playing different characters, I think that's a great showcase of talent. So you would think at the very least acting nominations would be a safe bet for anthology films, but I guess not. So there you go with that one. Most likely not going to get in, but be cool if he did. Now, like I said with lead actors, there were those picks that I left out because while, yeah, I could see those performances getting in, ultimately I'm just not 100% sold on them. Here in supporting actress, I have a bunch of those picks here. In fact, apart from number one, and of course my surprise pick, all of them I could see getting in or potentially just getting brushed off to the side. So Aunjanue Ellis-Taylor, I'm very excited for that performance. I mentioned this in a previous video, but I think when you have like parental roles talking to kids, you can get the waterworks going. Like you have those heart-to-heart talks, sometimes those hard talks, the kids crying, maybe the mother, the parent figures crying. People are going to connect with that because a lot of us have those connections in our own life. So I think that's a shoo-in, and because of it, I'm very, very much looking forward to it, and thus rises to the top. The other nominees I think are on the fence right now, and not in an exciting way where, oh, we're gonna battle it out to see if they're gonna get in. It's the performance is either gonna sell you or it's not, and I just don't find as much excitement there. Maybe once the film comes out and we have more concrete evidence, I'll be more excited, but for now, you can take them or leave them. I mean, you have Daniel Deadwyler, who I do think needs justice for Till, but The Piano Lesson, is that really getting your blood pumping? Is that the film that you're like, yeah, that's going to be a huge Oscar contender? It feels like one of those performances that, yeah, it's going to get in because, yeah, no duh, or it's not going to get in because, again, no duh. It's just doesn't translate as well to film. Isabella Rossellini, I hear she has one good scene in it. One good scene, is that enough to get into the Oscars? I mean, I guess other people have gotten in with less. But here's the thing, that one scene better be fucking amazing. Otherwise, again, it's just going to be one of those performances that's kind of like, yeah, you can take it or leave it. Leslie Manville, ditto here. Just take what I said about Isabel and apply it there. So again, you can see why I'm not super excited as of yet for a lot of these other nominations. And that's why, especially with actress, I included the ones that I did, because those are the ones that I am looking forward to seeing that have the potential. And even if they bomb, I feel they could bomb spectacularly. Here, I think we just need to have those films come out and get more reception on it. Now, who would be my surprise pick? Well, that would be Selena Gomez for Emilia Perez. I don't think this is going to happen just because I've been hearing too many conflicting arguments, but here's what I mean about the exciting thing. There are those people that I've read that have said, oh no, she steals the show whenever she's on screen, and I've gotten those reviews that are like, she's good, but like, Oscar-worthy? Not really. So there is a butting of heads, and now it's up to us to decide. We gotta go see it. We gotta make the decision. So yeah, that makes me a little bit more excited. As of now, I do think her fan base is probably a little bit too loud, which is why I think she's on a lot of people's radar. But I think as we get to the nominations and she probably misses out on critics, or like the big festivals or whatever the case may be, I think people will start to quiet down a little bit more. Or, who knows, maybe she will get into critics and there's going to be even more hype and that might carry her all the way to the Oscars. We don't know, and that's what makes it exciting. And here's where I become a hypocrite for supporting actor, at least with the number one spot. I really would love to see Samuel L. Jackson win the Oscar, And if it needs to be for the piano lesson, so be it. Just because I don't know if he's going to get another shot at it again. And that kind of worries me because I do really like him and I do think he's deserving of an Oscar. And I think he should have had a lot more nominations by now. So this is one of those, is it mean to say necessary evils? I don't know. It just makes me feel terrible. But I want him to win. I want him to win. Everybody else, though, I do think is going to blow us away. I mean, everybody has said Clarence Macklin is amazing in Sing Sing. So I think he is very much a shoo-in. Kieran Culkin for Real Pain. Real Pain, just one of those movies that maybe gets that low nomination for the acting. And yeah, I think especially him coming off of the win for Succession, I think he's on this high right now. So maybe he can ride that all the way to this award season. We'll see. I'm very much looking forward to the movie just because so many people really did like his performance. Stanley Tucci for Conclave. You'd think I'd have the same opinion about him as I did with Isabel, but here's the thing. Stanley Tucci has been nominated, I think, once beforehand, and it is for a role he fucking hated. Like, I think if you see that clip of him, of his nomination, he's just like, what the fuck? Why am I even here? And I feel bad for him because I do think he's a talented actor. So it'd be great for him to get in for a role that he is proud of. And I think we all have those moments, right? When we do work we're not proud of. And even if other people praise us for it, we're like, what the fuck are you talking about? That sucks. So I think it's a very human feeling. You want to be honored for your best. And when you're being honored for not your best, it can kind of feel underwhelming. So that's what I have there. Now, who would be my surprise pick? You guys know I've been talking the hell out of this in my last one, but I think Chris Hemsworth for Furiosa Mad Max Saga would be an amazing pick for the lineup. He would round it up beautifully. It's not going to happen, though I think it would have if Furiosa was a huge box office hit. You would definitely be seeing that movie get into so many different categories, but because of the lackluster result where it essentially is killing the Mad Max franchise for now, I don't think he's going to get in. So, and that's a shame because I do think he's giving it his all. He's fun to watch. You legit hate him at points. I think everything that a good performance needs and a fun one to boot. So would love to see that. Most likely just not going to happen. Original screenplay actually doesn't look that exciting this time around, which is a shame because out of the two writing categories, I've always been more attracted to the original. There's just something about creating something from scratch and making it all the way up to this big production and film that goes all the way to the Oscars. You're starting from nothing and going all the way to the top. That's awesome. With adapted, don't get me wrong, I'm sure it's hard to adapt already works into a film and making that work, but you at least have a basis to work off of. It's not just starting from nothing. So that's why I've always had more kinship with the original, if you will. But yeah, this year not looking too hot. I mean, Anora just seems like the no-brainer here, especially if it's going to get into Best Picture. Same with Emilia Perez. If it gets into Best Picture, you think it just get into the writing. Saturday Night, funny enough, I see a similar trajectory with Saturday Night that I did for The Big Sick. I don't know if you guys have seen that one. Fucking awesome film. Excellent writing on that one. Loved it. One of my favorite films of the year, but it really only gets into the screenplay. And I see a very similar thing with Saturday Night, where I end up really liking it. Strong screenplay, gets nominated there, but then that's about it. Maybe not. Maybe it'll be something more, but that's just the feeling I'm getting right now. A Real Pain, I'm on the cusp here. This one just does kind of feel like an acting nomination and nothing more. But again, because original screenplay is kind of looking a little thin, maybe it just gets in because of a lack of competition. Now, what would I pick to get in if I were to surprise you? This one really isn't more of a personal pick as more of a it makes sense type of thing. And that would be Kinds of Kindness. Even if we're going back to Yorgos' earlier works like The Lobster, that one did get an Oscar nomination for screenplay. Didn't go much further than that, but it did get that one nomination. So doesn't it make sense for it to get here as well? I mean, again, it's an anthology film, and it wasn't greatly received. It was solid enough. So maybe that's ultimately going to hurt it, but I don't know. I still think that's a possibility, even if it's not very likely. Now, adapted screenplay is like a complete opposite. It's like it took all the food from like original screenplays, like just stuffing itself we're definitely going to see some arguments later down the road, and that's going to be exciting. For now, The Nickel Boys, it's my number one in Best Picture. It's going to be my number one for screenplay. Sing Sing, does this just continue all the way to the Oscars and just continue building momentum? I don't know. That would be an exciting one to see, for it to have come out so long ago and just continue riding it all the way through. Dune Part 2 just seems like a no-brainer in terms of a nomination, but I really don't think it's going to win. It's just not the type of film you think about the writing when you're watching it, but I think a nomination's very likely there. A Joker, I mean, the original one did get the nomination, and even if it's doing the exact same thing, I mean, wouldn't you give it some sort of consideration for doing what got the original one nominated in the first place? Or who knows, maybe the controversy just completely knocks it off. So, we'll see. For my surprise pick here, I would go with Hitman. Have you guys seen it yet? It's on Netflix if you haven't, and man, is it just a witty, funny, enjoyable script. Like, if you're just looking for a good time, you're not looking for anything deep or anything like that, I think Hitman is right up your alley, and I would love to see it get nominated just for how witty it is. I love witty screenplays, but yeah, I don't think it's very likely. And now we get to the below the line categories, aka the one where you pause the video and you start kind of scrolling through just to see what my predictions are, and then you type in what the fuck you talking about with this sort of stuff without really hearing the context of it. You know, that section. If you haven't already done that with the previous ones, yeah, I'm just fucking with you guys. The name of the game here is really what's gonna dethrone Dune Part 2. Because let's be honest, Dune Part 2 is gonna be your big winner for the night, even if it doesn't go on to win Best Picture. It's gonna win the most awards. This is a done deal. It's a done deal. It'd be shocking if it doesn't happen. So yeah, let's start off with film editing. Dune Part 2. Although Conclave, with how well I hear the technical craftsmanship there, could it be enough to dethrone Dune? Like, what if Conclave just ends up being the Best Picture winner? What if that one ends up just blowing everyone away and just starts riding this high? Could it dethrone Dune Part 2? I can't say it's out of the realm of possibility, but no, it's just not very likely. And the other ones on here are just things that make sense. Until those films come out and we get like concrete answers, it's harder to say for sure, but Queer, sure. Joker, previous one got film editing, so yeah, it makes sense for this one to get in, but I mean, just go back to what the previous arguments were with why Joker might not get in, and then we'll do the whole song and dance thing again. Now, what would I like to see get in that most likely won't? Challengers. Speaking of Queer, man, have you seen the editing for Challenge? It's one of those films that you notice the goddamn editing for, which the Oscars fucking love. So if Queer doesn't, like, do that, I can see a world where people push for challengers to get a nomination. And editing just seems like a good place for it to be in. It's not gonna happen for it to get a lone editing nomination. It's just, that would be fucking weird. I don't think we live in that timeline, but I would like to see it honored in some way or form, and I do think this would be a really cool place for it to be in. Cinematography, the taste kids can see. Dune Part 2. Again, can anything dethrone it? I mean, Conclave? No, probably not. Even if that is, like, technically sound, I just don't think anything's gonna beat Dune in terms of cinematography. A Complete Unknown, I mean, the filmmaker has been known to make some beautiful filmmaking, so it's obviously it's gotta come along with it there. Joker, just, let's not repeat ourselves. Let's just go on to the one that I think would be awesome to get in that is in no way ever gonna happen, and that's Longlegs. Yes, so first and foremost, the horror film's definitely not gonna happen. You got that bias to hurdle, but I think the shots in Longlegs have probably stuck with me more than almost any other aspect of the film. And I do like the film quite a bit. I do like the suspense that it builds. I like kind of the mystery behind it. I even liked Nicolas Cage's performance, though I'm going to admit it was a little bit more underwhelming than I wanted it to be. But the thing that really stuck with me is the environment. And I remember those shots. Like, I think that's honestly what unsettles me the most. Just the shots and the picturesque scenery and everything. And you're looking for things in those shots. But I think, again, it being a horror film and the fact that you're nervous while watching the movie, you're not really paying attention to the crafts a lot of the time when watching horror films, and I think that's what makes it harder for those type of films to get in, especially in like the tech categories. But I do think Longlegs would be a worthy pick here. It's just never gonna happen. Let's move on now to costume design. Can anything dethrone Dune? Honestly, I thought Joker could. Just like, I mean, again, putting the controversies aside, let's just stick with the movie here. I mean, just the costume of him alone is amazing. But now you're going to have Lady Gaga in various costumes, mind you, and she is definitely going to have luxurious costumes on. I think that is very much going to be a focus of the film in some degree or form, and as such, I think it can push it all the way to the top. Dune's just not the type of film that I think costumes. I just think everybody wearing like scarves and stuff, and it's all brown and muddy, and I don't know. That to me, I don't see that being like a winner for costume design, though I will admit I think it can get the nomination and is probably deserving of it just because you do have a few kind of luxurious designs, but that's just me there. Wicked also seems like a surefire thing here. I don't know how many nominees Wicked's gonna get, but I do think it's got some text, at the very least nominations in the bag. Maybe a win or two here if it really does blow everybody away. Maria seems like a safe bet. That one's probably just gonna get in based on what that whole story is about. And for my surprise here, how awesome would it be to see Deadpool and Wolverine get here? I mean, you finally got Hugh Jackman as Wolverine in the iconic costume. That alone should be enough to get it a nomination. But, I mean, I've always really thought the suit itself for Deadpool, just like when you really zoom in on and you see all the details of it, I think it looks really cool. You could tell those two costumes in particular, they went all out on. I think what does hurt it here is, first and foremost, the type of film it is, but second, a lot of the side characters and their costumes, it almost comes off as cosplay, and that I think is going to hurt it some. But I do think the two lead costumes, they went all out with them, and I do think would be worthy nominees. But yeah, it's not going to happen. It's just a pipe dream. Makeup and hairstyling. Can anything dethrone Dune Part 2? Well, again, I do think Joker has the potential to. It's with the first one especially. The makeup was so important, not just to the movie as a whole, but to the story. I felt that makeup was part of the story. And I think it's going to be even more so here with Lady Gaga involved. So I do think there is that potential to see it win. But I do think Dune Part 2 also has a claim to it. I think there's a lot of makeup that is used in that film, so maybe that is enough to just give it the text and that's about it. That being said, there are a couple of things that I think would be awesome picks if they got nominated and went on to win. A Different Man. God damn, have you seen the prosthetics, the makeup there? That would be fucking amazing. That would be very worthy of the win there. But it's a horror film from what I understand, and it's a little bit of a weird horror film, so and maybe the Academy just isn't up for nominating it, no matter how impressive it is in the tech category. I would say Wicked. Just, I don't know if this one would go on so far to win. I mean, just painting somebody green, is that enough? I'm sure there's going to be makeup in all aspects of it, but I think that's the one that most people are going to point out to, and it may distract from other makeup that is probably impressive, so we'll see what that branch does there. As for my surprise pick, and you guys are probably going to flip out when I say this, but the surprise pick that I would like to see is Beetlejuice. Now, I know right away you guys are going, what the fuck are you talking? Beetlejuice is just going to get in. Like the original one got in. It went on to win, right? Correct me if I'm wrong there. Look, I think we are in a completely different time than when the original one came out. And I almost see kind of a similar trajectory here that I did with like Twisters. Maybe that's an unfair comparison, but everyone's like, Twisters is definitely going to get the original one. And it's like, we're in a different time. There's been so much advancements. How much is the makeup going to come into play with Beetlejuice? And are they going to go a lot of CGI with it? I mean, the trailer does make it look impressive. Don't get me wrong. Again, it's on here because I would love to see it get in. I'm just not sold on it yet. I hope to be very soon. The movie's just about to come out. So maybe by next month I'll be like, yeah, guys, I'm a fucking idiot. Should have been in all along. But for now, there's something inside me that's telling me it's not going to get in. So that's what I got there. Production design. Dune Part 2. Back on that whole train. I really don't think anything's going to take it from that. Joker seems like it'll get in. Wicked. Yeah, Furiosa, maybe we would finally get in a nice production design for that film. I don't think Furiosa is going to get a lot of nominations, so wherever it can squeeze in, that'd be really cool to see. As for my surprise pick, I'd go for a newer film that just came out, Alien Romulus. Now, I don't know what your guys' thought on that film is, whether you think it's good or if it's just comes off as a fan film. I've heard both sides of the argument, but you cannot deny, and the one consistency I've seen is that it feels like an Alien film. Just the production alone, it feels very much in line with that world. And I've always thought the production in those films has been very impressive. And not just in the movies, but in like video game form as well. Like, I love seeing all of that technology in display, and it feels real. It feels like you can actually go on there and use it. Again, it's a horror film. It's just not going to happen. The films, I don't believe have ever been nominated for production design. Again, correct me if I'm wrong there, but yeah, it would be cool to see. It's just not very likely. All right, we're on a roll. Let's move on to animated feature film. I am putting my chips here on The Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim. I don't know. I've heard somebody say it, and it didn't sound like how it was spelled, so I might be completely wrong about that. But I know we don't know too much about the film just yet, but the animation, that screenshot for that animation looks cool. And I'm hoping that it blows us away. So that's kind of what I'm putting my bet on, because everything else right now is just it's not impressing me all that much. Like, Inside Out 2 was good. I can't say it's a bad film, but I think the major consensus here is it was not as good as the first one. And so that's probably going to hurt its chances to go on to win the Oscar. Or maybe not. I mean, Toy Story 4, anyone? Come on. Moana 2 is about to come out. The first one was a very much beloved film from Disney. I didn't go on to win, so maybe everybody's going to try to correct that right if the film ends up being as good or even better than the first. The Wild Robot, I'm not 100% convinced with this one. I just saw the new trailer, and holy crap, does that underwhelm. Like, you could tell beat for beat how that story's going to go. And yeah, I'm just kind of throwing it on there just because I don't know what else at this time and moment, but we'll see. I'm sure something that we aren't expecting will kind of surprise us later on, but that's kind of what I got for now. Now, what surprise nomination would I like to see here? Easy. Piece by Piece. And I know some of you are like, well, yeah, that could totally get in, but the Oscars don't have a very good track record with nominating Lego movies. Maybe they don't see it as real animation. Maybe they see it more as like that claymation stuff. And no, because they fucking nominate those films. So I don't know what the heck's up with the Oscars and like Lego pieces, but they don't tend to nominate it. And it's a shame, because I do think this could potentially get 2 nominations here and documentary. I mean, I don't think the Oscars are opposed to that. Flea a few years ago got those 3 nominations, animation, documentary, and international feature film. So, I mean, 2 should be a little bit easier, but yeah, just the whole Lego thing is kind of what's holding me and a lot of other people back. Now, animated short film. That's right, I'm doing the shorts, motherfuckers. For those new here, I do pay my respects to the shorts as well. I know hardly anybody does, but you know, they're also part of the Oscars. They want their dues. Let's discuss. You probably don't know a lot of these if you don't follow the shorts very much. I very rarely do, so bear with me here while I go through each one. But right now, I'm feeling most confident about Beautiful Men. This is about 3 bald brothers who kind of come together to get a transplant, and it's just kind of the bond between the 3 of them. I think that sounds sweet enough to get a nomination. Not sure if it'll win, but I think out of the 5 that I'm about to talk about, it has the biggest potential here. Number 2, I have In the Shadow of the Cypress. This is about this sailor, I believe, who lives with his daughter by the ocean, and he's suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. So I think you have the potential for some emotional beats there. So very much looking forward to that one. Number 3, I have La Pere. This is about a bird girl who goes off with her dog They kind of leave home because of an abusive mother or an overwhelming mother, something like that. And then she starts to explore her sexuality. I know that sounds kind of odd. Keep in mind, animated shorts could range. Like, there was that one year where, like, almost every single one of them had nudity involved. So if it sounds mature and you don't think that's going to get in, just take that out of your mind, because I think this is where you could really explore these type of themes and really be a hit here. Number 4, I have The Brown Dog. This one's just been making a big splash at the festivals. I don't know too much about it. The biggest things here is that it does have Michael K. Williams and Steve Buscemi in it. They're going to be doing the voices. So I think that's enough to at least keep it into consideration. And again, been doing very well at the festivals. As for the one that I think I would like to see get in, but I just don't know if the Oscars would take that swing, I have Canard. So this is about this couple that raised ducks. And then they want a child, and the synopsis says things take a nightmarish turn. And the poster, if I have it up, is like of a duck looking inside, and it's kind of all evilly. So I don't know if it's going to be this over-the-top short, and if it is, I don't see the Oscars going for it. They like more either like heartfelt stuff. If it's just pure like nonsense, I don't think they'll go for it. So that's why it's kind of on the outside for now, but it seems entertaining though. All right, moving on to documentary feature. Number 1, I have No Other Land. This is about the Palestine-Israeli conflict right now, especially in one aspect of it. And I know a lot of the times, well, not a lot of the times, but some of the times with documentaries, it's the one that's most important to what's happening in today's world is what goes on to either win or at least be in serious contention. So it just makes sense for this one to be at number 1. Number 2 is Sugarcane. This one sounds very interesting and very sad. It's about the abuse and missing children that happen at a Indian school. It's like a boarding school. So the investigation that goes behind it and what they discover. So there's that one. Number 3 is Daughters. I think this is actually either already on Netflix or about to come out on Netflix, but it's about a couple of daughters who are doing a daughter dance, but they're setting it up with their incarcerated fathers. So just kind of what the steps are to do that. Obviously, it's going to have its heartfelt moments, so might go on to be a serious contender there. Number 4 is Will and Harper. So this is just about Will Ferrell and his friend Harper Steele going on a road trip across America. And you don't think probably anything much more other than that, except it's been getting a lot of really great buzz at all the festivals it's been at. So I have to keep it into consideration just because of how much I've been hearing about that movie. So definitely on my radar. It could fall out. I'm not 100% confident in it, but one that I will definitely keep on there for now. Now, number 5, you know I gotta include the one that the curse is gonna hit. There's always a documentary curse. This year, it's very obviously gonna be the Superman, the Christopher Reeve story. These are the type of movies that the curse just loves to devour, and I hear people have been liking it. So yeah, already the curse is starting to creep in. If you like the movie, you wanted to get nominated, just watch out. Don't set yourself up for heartbreak. Moving on to the documentary short films. Again, just going to go through these one at a time. Bear with me here. The first one I have is the final copy of Ione Specht, if I say her name correctly. This is the person who created that L'Oreal I'm Worth It ad, which was very much considered a feminist commercial. So just kind of her kind of legacy and her last days of living. Number 2 is Wouldn't Make It Any Other Way. This is about a costume designer who moves back to Guam and starts creating costumes for the children's theater and also trying to reconnect with the parents. Number 3 is Michaela's Voice, A Letter to the World. This is about a girl who has autism, a rare form of autism that makes it unable for her to talk, but they discover a way of communicating with her. So that's just the movie is how they manage to do that. Number 4 is Alok. This is about the person called Alok Vadmenon. Again, apologize if I mispronounced that. They're non-binary. They are an author, a poet, a comedian, a public speaker, just their life, exactly what it's about. And for my surprise, definitely not going to get at number 5. I have just the tip. This is about the history of circumcision in the Jewish community, faith, whatever the case may be. Yeah, you already know the Oscars aren't going to touch that, but the poster makes it seem like a fun watch, like it's not going to take itself too seriously, so I'm all on board for it. Okay, let's move on to international feature film. Number one is Emilia Perez from Mexico. I mean, this is probably everybody's number one. It's not a surprise at this moment in time. We'll see if that shifts, though. You never know. Number two, I have Parthenope. This is Apollo Sorrentino's new film. A lot of people actually leaving this off of their predictions, or at least putting it in their top 10 rather than top 5, but Paulo gets in quite a bit, so I honestly would put him closer to the top, or at least in your top 5, just because I think it's a very good bet he will get in here. Number three, I have The Count of Monte Cristo. This is from France, obviously popular literature. I do believe they're going to do right by it, and I'm almost kind of getting that kind of same vibe with Edward Berger with All Quiet on the Western Front. Very popular literature. They do pay respect for it, so I can see some similar trajectory here if they do almost the same thing here. Number four, Evil Does Not Exist. This is from Japan. This is Ryosuke Hamaguchi's new film. That's the director who did Drive My Car, that got into Best Picture, got into Director at the Oscars a few years ago. So, of course, his newest film is going to be on the radar. We'll see how that one does. Now, my number 5 from the surprise one here is one that I've seen people predicting, and that is Uprising from South Korea. This is about the war where Japan invades, and there's where the problem lies. I think Japan's going to have a problem with that. And because of how close a relationship, especially the Oscars have had with Japan these last recent years, if Japan says, hey, we don't appreciate this being a central focus, obviously it's not a time that we agree with it, whatever the case may be, whatever they want to say political-wise, I can see the Oscars even saying, yeah, we don't want to like upset anybody, let's not include that. Would they do that? I have no clue. I could see them doing it. They don't want to make anybody angry. They want everything to be inclusive. But we'll see. I mean, if the film is like incredibly strong, I can almost see the pushback of saying, no, it should get in. But that's why it's on the outside for me as of right now. Moving on to original score. Really, apart from like Dune, these are all just kind of guesses. I don't know what the score is going to look like with any of these other ones. Is Hildur going to get in for Joker again? Sing Sing seems like the type of movie that is going to have a score, especially during its more emotional moments. Will Conclave have like an exciting, bombastic score? Again, it's all up in the air. The only one that I am kind of very sure on is Dune Part 2, and as such, that one just makes it to the top. For my surprise pick, I would definitely go Challengers. I mean, even if you didn't like that movie, I think the major consensus with everybody is that, man, that soundtrack gets you pumped. But I could also see old people like going on to listen to it, put on their headphones and being, what the fuck is that? Like tossing it. So yeah, I think even if Challengers was a more Oscar-worthy film, if you will, I still think the score would have a hard time getting in. But who knows? Atticus Ross, the two duos there, they get in all the time. So maybe just by name recognition alone, they would have gotten in if Challengers was going to be a more hard-hitting Oscar-worthy competitor. For original song, yo no sé. The only one that I do feel somewhat confident in right now is Relentless, for the Diane Warren Relentless documentary. And wouldn't it be poetic for her to finally get her Oscar for a song she made for the movie that's all about her? We can finally put this thing to bed. Just make all the other songs suck this year and we'll be good. Anyway, Piece by Piece has a song in there, so I feel that one's going to get in. Moana 2 feels like a safe bet. Wicked can or cannot. I believe there is an original song in there that, you know, those type of things always try to get into the Oscars, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. For my surprise pick, I would go with Claw Machine for I Saw the TV Glow, which I gotta say, I loved I Saw the TV Glow. I think definitely in my top 10 favorite films of the year thus far. And I do think the soundtrack and the song itself work beautifully with the film. But again, it's a horror film, so I just don't see the Oscar voters going for it. And it's a little bit of an odd musical choice. So again, I think that might throw people off, so I really don't think it's going to happen. For sound, Dune Part 2. Back on the Dune bandwagon here. So, I mean, is anything going to dethrone it? I think Furiosa could definitely get in. I mean, you got a lot of cars revving, so I do believe that's a surefire pick for Furiosa. Nice to see that get in. Joker, I do believe the first one got into sound, so I feel this one's going to follow suit. But I'm not sure what to include after 3. I was thinking maybe Blitz, just give it a lone nomination here. I know that would be weird, but honestly, no matter what I thought of, it was just going to be a low nomination. And since Blitz, from my understanding, is not really going to be a full-on war film like we thought, I don't think that's a safe bet. So I'm gonna go Gladiator 2. It just seems like a type of film that's gonna have good sound design, even if the film in general sucks, which I think it's gonna. But that's kind of what I got now. Again, I know it would be a low nomination. It'll probably get into other nominations like we did with Napoleon, but for now, this is really the only place you're gonna see Gladiator. For my surprise pick, how cool would it be to see Civil War get in? And honestly, I could see Civil War getting into the short list, but ultimately fall off before we get to the full-on nominations. I think that film was not divisive per se, but I do think there's going to be enough of a strong opinion that maybe the Oscars just don't want to kind of be involved with any of that in the long run. So we'll see, but I think it would make a good pick there. All right, final two categories. Let's end this thing. Let's start off with live action short film. Again, bear with me here as I go through each one. The first one is Spaceman. This is about a boy who communicates with a man in space. And that's all I got. But as history has proven, if you have a young child actor in your live action short, there's a good chance you'll go home the winner, which is the reason I have this at number 1. Number 2, I think actually just got an Oscar qualifying run at one of the awards festivals. That is Bogota Story. This is about a mom who has to choose between family and her dream during a dark time in Colombia's history. So that already sounds interesting. And, I mean, family, maybe kids are in it. So, honestly, you could probably flip number 1 and 2 around depending on what you feel. Number 3 is Saving Superman. This is about a guy that is obsessed with toys, but inside his mind, he wants to be a superhero, I believe, just because on the outside he's meek. And then he finds a way to be a superhero in other people's lives in an interesting way. So definitely keep an eye out for that one. Number 4 is Burnout. I almost included this as my number 5, but when we get to number 5, you'll know why I put that one instead. This is about an employee who is willing to do anything to get in front of their boss for a presentation, including setting themselves on fire. What the fuck? I don't know. Sounds interesting. And the only reason that one's not my number 5 for the surprise pick is because Crust is. This is about a depressed, has-been child actor who is like at this laundromat, I believe. He's like doing laundry. All of a sudden his socks come to life and start talking to him. And they're like crazy and murderous. And yeah, definitely not the Oscars things, but sounds fun. So definitely keep an eye out for that one. Finally, wrapping things up with visual effects, this is Dune. This is hands down Dune. It's one of the surefire things. I don't think anybody's going to dethrone it. Other things that I think are very much going to get in. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Very impressive visual effects here. I think that one is most definitely in contention. Furiosa, I know a lot of people said that the special effects in that one are weaker than the last one, but I mean, people have said that about certain films like The Irishman, and that one still would get in, so I don't know. I don't know if that's going to be a big detractor, and again, I just would love to see Furiosa get into more categories, because it's definitely going to get the shaft in a lot of them. Mufasa, The Lion King, I do think that's going to be a big one. I mean, that last one made fucking bank, so they're definitely going to sink as much money as possible into their special effects here. And then for my surprise pick, which is definitely not going to happen, Sonic the Hedgehog 3. You guys know me. I'm a gamer. I love seeing gaming and movie come together. And I believe the other Sonic films have gone onto a short list for the visual effects or long list, however they do that one. So I do see a similar trajectory here. But yeah, it's definitely not going to get in. But it'd be nice. It would be nice. Anyways, those are all the predictions I have for you for August 2024. As I said at the beginning of the video, the film festivals are right around the corner. I'm very excited to check those out, see what the reactions are to a lot of those films. If you guys remember last year, there were a couple of films we were very excited around this time, and then they ended up crashing and burning, so yes, definitely an exciting time. As such, I will probably do my next Oscar predictions after the film festival, so probably around mid to late September. I'll try to put out a video in between. I am going through a lot of personal things in my home life right now, so that's kind of distracted me somewhat, but you know I love talking about Oscar predictions, so keep an eye out. If not for that middle video, then definitely for the next Oscar predictions. So until that next one, everybody, please stay safe out there and have a good one.